Be, 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 be,
Everybody, welcome back to the Hollow Knight Marauders podcast and Hollow Knight Marauders Live. I'm joined here by just Jamie tonight.
Hello.
Matt is somewhere at Disney World. I don't know.
He's gone.
I don't
Gone
know if
forever.
we'll get a live report from him tonight or not. But, we shall see.
We might get a live report. I mean, we asked him to send his picks for the end of the week and whatnot, and like we know his take. But I mean, I don't really think I'm gonna get anything because when Matt's at Disney, he is a completely different person and unreachable half the time. So
yeah,
such is life.
Pretty much true. But yeah, we're here reporting for duty, and we're covering Andor season 2, part 2, which is episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
I guess we'll call this the Gorman arc.
Yeah, or the beginning
Gorman
of the
arc,
Gorman
part
arc,
1.
yeah. Oh, okay, sure. You know, I was just double checking on StarWars.com, just for like the names of the episodes, and they have been referring to them as like arcs. And so, like, if you were to go on StarWars.com and look at them right now, the episode guides are all listed out as like arc 1, arc 2. So I think that I was right in like putting it that way initially in like our notes, because if they're officially saying it, then hey, yeah. So Andor season 2, episodes 4, 5, 6, like you said. So ever been to Gorman? I have friends everywhere, and what a festive evening! Somehow I managed to write those 3 names completely in not in the correct order. So we pulled it off.
Those weren't in the right order, or they were in the right order?
I said them out loud in the correct order. But
I see.
Written in the correct order? No.
You pulled a me. You admitted your mistake that no one knew. You could have pulled it off.
Hey, you got to know when I am at like if it's wrong, I need you to know.
That's what I do, and then you and Matt are like, "What are you doing?" So,
just move along.
We've had before we get to the show, we'll do a little small talk like we always do, I guess. But anything going on you wanted to mention?
Anything going on that I want to mention? A bunch of things, but I think the biggest thing is happy 1-year anniversary to the finale of The Bad Batch. It was 1 year ago today. Yeah. So 1 year ago, I was sobbing in the living room at like 5 a.m. So
yeah, I sobbed probably a couple times that day about that, editing it and then watching it twice and all that. I thought you were going to mention our Revenge of the Sith screening that we had this past weekend, and Chad in the chat flew halfway across the country.
That's the next thing. Hey, so like if I have the chance to talk about the Bad Batch, I will say that first, always. But we'll talk about the other thing. So this past weekend, we hosted a Revenge of the Sith screening for local listeners, and also Chad, who decided to fly across half of the United States just to hang out with us for the weekend and
had 2
play a little frisbee golf.
Chad didn't travel the farthest.
He did not.
One of our friends from Wampa's Lair came from Arizona, I believe.
Yes, both of the guys from Wampa's Lair happened to be in town. One of them's local and one of them's from Arizona, and so we had both of them around. Ion Cannon were there
next time.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun having. Or it's always fun to like do the screenings, and we always want it to grow and it to become bigger next year. I mean, we've done it 2 years in a row now for Phantom Menace and then Revenge of the Sith. So, like, I don't know what the plans are for the future for re-releases and whatnot, but we'll see what happens. This year was really tricky to organize, I gotta say. Half of it just due to local movie theaters, and then half of it due to...
We don't need to share all that nonsense.
The ticket sales didn't go on sale too early. I'm just saying, it was difficult this year.
If they do Force Awakens, Pugs, you can come as Matt the Radar Technician. So.
Please, we do want to do it again. So we'll do it again. It was a rough a couple of weeks getting it together, and it's just been busy season. Like I literally was talking to my boss at work today, and she's just like, yeah, it's got to be like really busy for you like right now, because like she knows a little bit about this. And I'm like, yeah, so the beginning of May is absolute pandemonium, so there's a lot going on. But yeah, super excited, and thank you to everybody who was able to attend, and I wish we could have had more people there, and we'll next time we'll do it next time.
Yeah, I am curious. I mean, it was a blast seeing Revenge of the Sith on the screen again. Very hot take, I guess, and I don't, I love all the Star Wars movies, but Revenge of the Sith is not at the top of my list. Believe it or not,
it's a hot take, but if you are a listener of our podcast, you already know that.
I like the movie. I like the movie a lot. It's fun. I have so much nostalgia for it. Seeing it back in the day in 5th grade, I think I was in. I know Matt was like rolling around in the seats in the theater. Afterwards, he was like, his hair was all over the place. He was having, he was,
yeah.
He had a blast watching it. It was great to see Chad there.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. My like lone reaction after we watched it was somehow seeing it on the big screen made me like it more and like it less at the same time. So I guess I liked it the same amount as I did going into it.
We'll have a Revenge of the Sith anniversary live stream when it's the actual anniversary. I think that's in the plan, because nothing else will be going on when that's going on.
Yeah,
but something I am more excited about was
yes. Ooh, it was May 1st, so Lego launch day. So AJ went to local Lego and got like every set somehow. But mostly that. Also, a huge shout out to Matt's parents. They're huge supporters of our show, and we always love to like see them in the chat, but we actually got to see them in person at the screening, because of course we were there. And just love to have them there. So
yeah, and I believe they're down at Disney right now, him and his family and a few friends. And Matt was telling us his mom ordered a bunch of Holonet Marauder shirts from our Fourth Wall shop here on YouTube. The link should be somewhere on the YouTube if you want to buy some merch. You're very welcome. We appreciate the support. But they're going to be wearing Holonet Marauders merch on May 4th at Batu or wherever they are at Disney.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what that looks like. Yeah, Batu East.
Which, that'll be fun. We will be home with our Legos and just hanging out,
Honestly, I love the freebies. The freebies at Lego release days. They had this Camino postcard today. If you showed up and got some stuff,
I'm obsessed with the postcard. It's a big postcard too.
The gold trim. Yeah, it's the size of my head.
It's a big postcard. It's
pretty nice.
Bigger than
I know, for Lord of the Rings.
Postcards.
For Lord of the Rings, they did some posters and stuff like that for the Shire set. So they always have something cool, and it was great to have something like that for Star Wars. A couple of keychains and things too. But yeah, it is May 4th weekend, so we're kind of celebrating Star Wars all week. And
tons of stuff going on. Always.
Keep celebrating by talking about Andor Season 2 Arc 2, as we're now calling it.
Season 2 Arc 2, because it doesn't really have an official name yet, but super excited. We do have extra postcards about our screening, and so I was going to make a quick little post about that, but more info about that later. But we'll see what happens with that. Not the Camino ones; those are very special, and I think we only got that one and the one that's hanging on the wall behind me. Those are not leaving this house. But we'll do additional cards another time. Let's get into the breakdown of actual Andor. So I think that we'll try to do it the same way that we did last week, of try to follow along each person's like story as it develops across the 3 episodes. Because it is, again, like super isolated. They don't really cross over that much. The only ones that do cross over are like Luthen and Cassian now. So we're gonna start, because then he crosses over with like Mon. But we'll get there when we get there. So who do you want to start with, actually?
Oh yeah, I like this. Let's start with Cassian again. I think we did that last week too.
Yeah, because his story last week was like the weakest, quote unquote. Yeah. So with Cassian this week, he is having like a normal life-ish, but doing like the secretive missions and being the super spy. And
normal life.
Well, normal life of he's trying to like blend in, just then be like undercover. That's what I mean, like normal life.
Okay.
Like
living in a safe house, going from mission to mission.
He's like scared to go to the grocery store. Like that's what I mean, like living a normal life. Like
I don't know how normal that is, but
I guess saying living a normal life wasn't the best way to like lead off with that.
Yeah.
Look,
Going
my
to the grocery
notes.
store is
Do
fairly
you want to see my
normal,
notes?
No.
It's blank. Because like I struggled to write the notes this time because there wasn't as there was a ton, but I struggled to actually write the notes this time through, and so I have an unhinged list of notes, which it's stupid moments that happen across the 3 episodes, but it's not like the plot.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like
which is funny because we watched this last week. We only watched the batch of episodes once. This time we watched them.
Them twice. Yeah, and so we definitely consumed it more. I think that I liked these 3 episodes more than I did the first ones. But
yeah, hard to say, but you might be right.
Yeah, just for like so many different like reasons. I think well, number one, sorry to circle back. I'm a mess already with this stream, just trying to keep like my thoughts in a row. So that it takes place 1 year later, 1 year after the first season. Sorry, the first 3 episodes.
This one, yes.
Sorry, my thoughts literally. Imagine like 2 pages just got ripped out of a book, and you continued on to the next thing. That's what just happened in my head.
That's what happened in Andor too. After each year of a jump.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm really struggling to like keep track. We're on Cassian's story.
It starts off once again with a nightmare from Bix, with Dr. Gorst and the soldier.
Yeah, and it's more so like it's like bleeding into what she's experiencing recently, and it's like the memories are like, are they memories or are they actual like things that happened kind of thing, or are they just like thoughts along the way?
And this one was pretty wild because she has the nightmare. Wakes up, goes into like the kitchen area there, and she has her blaster out. And in her other nightmare, it was just like the guy was in their little living space van thing. Yeah. And then like she wakes up in the bed, and it's like it looked real to us. Obviously, it was that's the point. And then this time she was actually sleepwalking and had her blaster out, and Cassian had to be like, "Whoa there." So that it was like
because like
it's progressing.
In the first dream, in the first arc, it was like he was just like invading their space, but in this one, it was more so she saw him in the position of whatever they did to that pilot or soldier that apparently Cassian dealt with, and so it was almost like she saw herself in him, and she's like, "Wait, it's like towing the line and not really sure where she's going with it." But Cassian stops her, luckily, and.
Although she just would have shot like a wall, but
yeah, but still shoot it.
She did.
Still a little cause from alarm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that when they initially showed Cassian and Bix in the safe house, they didn't say it was Coruscant immediately. They didn't say that until like the next time you see them, and I don't know why that was a choice, but it was in there. And for like a hot second, I'm just like, oh, I wonder where they are. I wonder if it's like really important. I wonder if it's like Nar Shaddaa or something. No, it's just Coruscant.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they saved the subtitle for that.
Yeah,
they could have easily just revealed there. Not that it's Coruscant. We've already been there a million times in this show, so and a million times in other things. Right.
But it's different-ish though, because it's a different area of Coruscant that we haven't necessarily seen. And like I always loved like the architecture of Coruscant no matter what, and just like all of the levels and everything. And like we've seen so many versions of Coruscant on this show already, of the Senate area, the area where the ISB is, the Karn apartment, like in like the bowels, and then like the area where
lives.
the area where also where Lonnie and Luthen like have their like secret meetings.
The elevator to hell. Yeah,
it literally is an elevator to hell. Yeah, and so like I love how much we've seen of Coruscant and how different just the one planet is. Very, very cool. So what the heck does Cassian do next? Because I don't know why I am struggling to like remember his story tonight.
Well, he didn't. I mean, his arc was kind of all over the place, but from there, he pretty much gets the mission to go to Gorman. But in the interlude, we see Cyril, but we'll get to Cyril's arc after, so it kind of works backwards. But they go to the bodega. Everyone was talking about the bodega. I loved the Coruscant bodega.
I loved the bodega.
It reminded me of like the people always talk about like the 7-Elevens in Japan and everything, and like all the food and everything. I know
No, I know.
Just all the food in the background
yeah.
looked like that. I wanted to try every one of the things and like all the different things. I like the shop runner a lot. He's like, "Oh, do you want them ripe today or ripe tomorrow?" Like, that's just the show just does such a good job at the smallest background character, like in any Star Wars project. But in Andor does it so well. Of just like the smallest guy, you relate to it. It's something you see in your day-to-day life, and it's so mundane, but it's so good and it's so Star Wars.
Yeah, I've said it a million times before. Like, I love when something is just like simple and it's just like the mundane day to day, like within Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's funny like looking at all of like the packaging and the materials and whatnot used for the different foods and what they decide to do in the bodega. It was just like I just love seeing it. When they walked into the store initially, I spotted like a mile away this like long like net thing hanging in the corner with like pockets like within it. That is the IKEA Fangst. I just have to say, I used to have one of those hanging in my childhood bedroom, and so I was immediately like, oh my god, that's the thing that I used to put all my stuffed animals in. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, there it is, and it was like
that's
bright,
definitely where
blue.
They got it.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, look at this. And so I'm so thank you. You thank like 10-year-old me because it was there. And yeah, there was literally packages of orange juice. I noticed that at one point, and it's just the set design
on anything, and it just looks 10 times cooler and better.
10 times better. But like the set dressing in this scene was just so good. Everything in Andor just literally feels so real because it is. On like so many different like levels. Like they built the entire TIE Adventure in the first arc. The set on Gorman is like the biggest set that they've done. They pretty much filled the entire back lot at Pinewood Studios. They're filming on location whenever possible, and which is why like a few things like happen later on, which we'll get to, like filming in Spain and doing a lot like that. I'd be surprised if they didn't do this, but when they go to Dakar later on, I'm pretty sure that's probably the same spot that they used in The Force Awakens.
Absolutely
Why would it be anything different?
They filmed a lot of things in that spot. Like I think one of the Fast and Furious movies, like Fast 10, they filmed there. Like it's a popular filming location. So they definitely went back to that area, and it was cool to see it so bare. But we'll get to Dakar later.
It just all looks so good, and like it's not to knock the volume at all, because that has come on like it has like come like leaps and bounds like since they started using it. And they did say that during the sections of the safe house apartment, they use the volume in the background as like the dynamic like rain and whatnot. And so it's not like they're not using it at all. They're just leveraging it in like a better way with the practical and the special effects.
Like CG and anything else, it's like in the prequels, they found a great way to use CG so much, but then they used it a little too much. And then like Phantom Menace was that nice blend of practicality,
it's a tool to use, and you can't rely on.
Whereas in this, they're starting to find a nice balance of using the volume and using nice huge sets like the Gorman set or the Ferric set from season 1. So yeah, I hope these other projects don't focus on the volume too much. Skeleton Crew looked great for what it was for the most part, using a lot of the volume. So I'm interested to see how like the Mandalorian and Grogu does with that.
Me too, based on the fact that like everything for Andor so far has been like so well received, and just like moving forward, it's just like let's see what happens with the next big release. But
yeah,
who knows?
So our next step with Cassian before he goes to the Gorman mission and gets that info, which was very secret agent-y, which I want to get to in a minute.
Yeah,
we have kind of this conflict between him and Bix. Where we don't see what happened, and that's what makes it so good. We don't know what happened. We're just hearing their different point of views of them killing Cassian killing an Imperial soldier or some Imperial worker that we see in that vision that the nightmare Bix had. And that Bix says you didn't have to kill him. And we don't know the situation, so it's tough, but who do you think's in the right or wrong? Like I can definitely relate to or see Cassian's point of view of being overprotective. And we've seen him not take a chance and just blow people away before, especially when saving Bix.
Yeah.
Or himself or something like that. But I don't know. It's interesting where they're at. And Bix isn't quite to like soldier level yet as Cassian is. By the end of the episode, she's getting there, and we see that. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think that Biggs was probably more in the right of he didn't have to kill the soldier just because he saw who they were, because I think that they probably scared the shit out of that guy like enough to like have him just like defect anyway. But
Yeah.
Cassian's in like, at least in the beginning of this and still towards the end as well, he's in a state of mind where he wants to protect Bix and he does not want anything bad to happen to her, period. And he doesn't realize how bad of a go that she's still having it, but he's trying his best to help her. And it's part of like kind of like every relationship of especially like a romantic relationship in which like you love your person so much you don't want anything bad to happen to them, you're going to do everything to protect them. And he is almost holding her back in a way until she's able to like find the confidence like herself by getting like the additional opportunities from Luthen, and pretty much like showing Cassian, yeah, I can like do these things like on my own. I'm not just like relying on you.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's like and how it ends up going as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So they sort of have that little tiny rift in their little conflict in their relationship going on, which first of all, like no one's really talked about this that I've seen, but like they have a relationship again. Like they're back together. That hasn't
it is a
been
strong
thing
relationship
yet.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're kind of all they have. Like they
Yeah,
lost
they're all at
Brasso.
each other.
Will is off with Saw Gerrera, which is interesting, but also awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that Will's there by choice though. I think that that was like a job for like Luthen. So
Yeah, I know because they mentioned that.
because he's supposed to go back.
Yeah, Saw mentions like, "Hey, this ain't a Luthen job here. You're working for me, kid." Something like that.
You're working for me, kid.
That wasn't his exact
Oh my
quote.
god. Yeah, I love how we're trying to stick to the Cassian story, but it kind of isn't like working out. Jumping everywhere.
What do you mean?
I feel like I want to.
Well, there's so many other things, but like,
yeah,
no, the Bix Cassian thing's very important. And it also is a huge parallel to, I know we keep jumping to other things, to another relationship in the episode later on, and they both tie to Luthen and how Luthen runs his cell. That's definitely a big talking point for me. I mean, we can even get to that now. We're at the relationship, so we can talk about like Luthen's angle with all that. Because if we're talking about Cassian's arc, he goes to Gorman. That kind of ties into the Cyril stuff.
Yeah.
Your camera froze in a really awkward spot. Oh, you're back. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll dive into Cassian getting the info Mission Impossible style.
Yeah, so I love this scene. So I loved how Cassian has like this like briefing with Luthen like in some random stairwell, and this entire thing of he's not even sure if he's gonna like take the mission in the first place because he needs to like talk it through at Bix, and he ends up going anyway, satisfied with the decision. And I love the little clothing shop that they have to go to in order to get their information. So I love how there's already something put together of this like Q division type. You get all your like supplies and whatnot before you head out on a mission kind of like situation. It's just so funny. Like in the data bank, because I was looking this up like beforehand, it's literally a travel agency. So it's the Nika Bond travel agency, and so like the neon outside actually says that. So I'm assuming that the woman that he talks to, her name is Nika, or Nikki, and then Bond is Bond.
We all know Bond.
We all know Bond.
Bond was amazing.
Just a random guy. But this is also the beginning of the code words or the code phrases of "I have friends everywhere," which is so cool that we're starting to hear something like that, because that's another just like typical spy movie like trope and whatnot, and just like spy trope in general.
One of my big notes, and my phone's dying, so the portable charger I have does not have any battery, and these are my notes, so I'm clinging to life with these notes, and I don't have a block down here for the charger wire, but anyway, so it's a ticking time bomb down here with this thing. But
nice.
So we're finally getting the promised spy thriller vibes.
Yeah.
That were promised to us for Andor. Season 1 had a little bit of it, but that was mostly like a prison escape, and Luthen. There was a lot of Luthen and Clea and Vel. There's a lot of spy stuff with that. But now we're literally getting like Mission Impossible style things, or like something from I don't know, like something from Marvel with the spy stuff with like Natasha, you know, some Cold War thriller stuff like that. And I just texted Matt before we got on here too in this vein. I'm so sad that this show is going to end in a couple of weeks, and it's just this amazing level of Star Wars that we're getting here with this show. It will just be over. It makes me really sad thinking about that. So I'm trying to enjoy it all as it's going. But I really wish that Tony Gilroy or someone can make a show like this for the Cold War in Star Wars with the Republic, the Resistance, and the First Order. I can't help but think, and it would be like a reverse Andor of, instead of the Rebellion in the shadows, the First Order and the Imperial Remnant is in the shadows. And I know we see that in Mandalorian, but it
would be taking place after all of that also. So you can have your happy-go-lucky, what's going on in the Mandalorian and the New Republic, but then hold on, it's all gonna tumble down.
I texted Matt saying I've been thinking about that all week, and he just said, "Dude, same." And like we've both been sweating thinking about that. But anyways, random side note.
It's not that random of a side note, but it's good.
We're finally getting the spy stuff in this show, and like I'm living for it. Like we see it on Cyril's end with like there is resistance on
literally
on
the French
there.
resistance.
like it's so good.
And Cyril himself is also trying to be a spy, but we'll dive into that business in a bit. But yeah, I loved everything from like Cassian getting the bag with all the clothes and everything. He gets the identity of Varian Sky, who's like a fashion designer. Incredible. Sky. I am obsessed with this cover story for Varian Sky. It's just too funny.
You need this cosplay.
I really do.
Met with Matt and I babbling like bozos on this show. We never really get into like your cosplay angle because that's a very unique thing. I feel like if there's any costume, like what's the number one costume so far in this season? Because you did Narkina already, so you've done an Andor cosplay.
I have two that I absolutely love. I loved Vel's dress at the end of the first arc, the one that she wore to the wedding. It was like silver. It kind of looked like it was scales, but it had like the Chandrillin like sash and everything like with it. I thought that dress was really, really cool. It would be something for me outside of like my comfort zone, like as well, because I don't do like a dress type thing. But I love that look, and I love the way that Vel looked in it. And then she gets her heart broken because she sees Cinta, and I'm like, oh god, what's happening? Loved that. And then in the complete opposite side of it, I loved the Varian Sky look of a fashion designer Cassian Andor. He's just a designer. Like I love how he says it in the hotel room. I'm just a designer. Whatever. Like
it went from he's gone from I'm just a tourist to I'm just a designer.
I'm just a tourist. I'm just a designer. Do you think that these would work?
They're close.
They're close. I know they're close.
I mean, they'd qualify as good enough for having fun, I would think.
Yeah, I'm
now disappointed that you didn't have a full Varian Sky closet.
I don't
ready to go.
have clothes like that. I don't have extravagant. I mean, it's not like I go on like business trips or anything, or I'm into like fashion exclusively. Like my favorite cosplays are the ones that are covered in dirt, first of all. But I was obsessed with these like two costumes. But yeah, Varian Sky and the entire thing surrounding Gorman, which we'll get into, of them being a fashion industry, and like the linen or the Gorman twill, and you literally end up going into like the House of Rylands. It's like going into like the House of Gucci. Like, what is this? It's just so funny.
I think you said it last week. It must have been last week, or I don't know when else we were talking about Andor. Maybe it was during our celebration Andor talk, but you talked about how like the show has shown so much culture of these different planets, and the show literally is at times like, hey, here's this planet, soak in all this culture, and it's done it almost better than anything else in Star Wars, I think.
Yes,
like, maybe video games like the Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen, like some video games have done it because you spend time there. There's so many side missions, but this is like we get Ferrix, we get Morlana, we get a little bit of Coruscant, which we always get, but then we get like we get Gorman, and we're getting all this culture with it. It's just unbelievable. It's such a good world building.
Literally created a phonetic, so at least not written, but just phonetic. They created a language for Gorman for those 3 episodes and to follow. They literally created a new language, which is awesome. You rarely get actual like different languages like with the translation within Star Wars, because like in season 1 they also created another language for the kids, but they never actually like acted on that. They didn't say what they were saying. It was just like assumed. Obviously like we have like Huttese like in Star Wars, and like that's always like translated over, but like nothing really more than that. That's like a frequent thing. Everything else that's like a different language is something that is just never translated and we don't understand, aside from like Greedo saying McClunky, but like what the hell is that?
What does Two Tube speak? Huttese?
I think it's Huttese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever
It's
he
like
does,
similar
it's
to whatever Sidon Athano speaks, and it's like something I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not big
it's
on
always subtitled though, at least, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, about like the different cultures on different planets, that was something that I mentioned last week. The only time that we've really gotten like a really close look at like another here's a specific culture or like a subculture within Star Wars was when we had the look at the Tusken Raiders in Book of Boba Fett. That was like really the only other big thing, and that was something that was already like pre-established, and we like went further from there. But yeah, so like everything in Andor has been such like a good look at here is how like one slice of the galaxy is actually working and what's happening.
I did notice this, Brent. With I love this and hate this at the same time, because I love like the spider culture of Gorman, but I don't like spiders. I'm an arachnophobic. But like it was very cool. Like even in the little coffee shop they were in.
Yeah, there's like a fun like art
logo in the back.
And whatnot. So everything in Gorman is impeccably designed on so many levels, and they wanted it to be that way because like what do you want out of like high-end like fashion? You want it to be impeccably designed, really nice architecture, everything overall just like looks so good. I also like loved when we were rewatching it, when they first show Gorman, when it's a Cyril, when he's doing his thing, when he's walking to work, there's like the plaza, there's the group of protesters, there's a group of school children walking through in their uniforms. Like, you know, it doesn't get much more like European like country than that. Like I got immediate Madeline vibes with like her and like all of her friends going to school and they're like matching coats. And I'm just like, oh, it's so French. Like I got Madeline vibes in Star Wars. Who would like what year is it? Why am I thinking that? But I did, and it was just like something that I wasn't expecting at all.
We also have as our background. I just want to zoom us out a bit. Yeah. We chose last week we had the fields of whatchamacallit. Where were they last week?
Minarao.
Minarao.
Yeah.
We now have Gorman this week. So whatever next week is, probably Gorman again. So I don't know.
It'll probably be just a combination again of that and maybe another
one of my favorite like really one of my favorite things, and I noticed this off the bat when I was like, oh, they're French, it's the resistance. One of my favorite things in like history all time is just like World War II France. In films, or it's just such a cool thing. And to see it in Star Wars. I remember the Visions season 2 short,
yes.
The Spy Dancer. Was that it? That was very World War II France. And this was like, if Matt was here, we'd be gushing about that. But
you guys already are.
So I was loving that in this episode. I wanted to talk. We're not going to talk about Cyril yet, but double agent Cyril Karn was living his.
I mean, we can, because I feel like we've lost the string about Cassian at the moment.
Nathan, I want to get to the point where Cassian storms off, then we can jump to Cyril.
Okay.
So yeah, Cassian is giving good advice to these rebels, and it's interesting because we're getting that conflict. A lot of conflicts in this episode. What is it, Star Wars? And
is there a war?
We have Luthen's different point of view on what the rebellion should be, or like how they should be running things, and we have Cassian now thinking different things. Clearly, Luthen's of the more, hey, let's like, let's take a shot at these guys. Let's fight these guys for real. I posted the meme. We're fighting these bastards for real this time. But Cassian's being a little more diplomatic.
Yeah,
and he's like, hey, you guys are too late to the party here. Like,
not even like too diplomatic. He's literally more of a it's like what he's doing on Bix. He's like afraid to let them figure it out on their own, or because I don't know if he feels like he owes it to them to like protect them, but he's like, you guys should not be doing this. Just don't be doing this, because you're gonna get yourselves all killed. And like that's like why he walks off, because he's like, it's just too unorganized. The place is too far gone already. And meanwhile, Luthen's in the point of view of, well, hey, we should just incite the rebellion anyway, because so many reasons. Like it's
They're
just
at such
outside
a they're at such a tricky point in their mission here in the rebellion, because as we know in Rebels is when they really start this, and that's years away. Star Wars Rebels, when they get really formed and they find each other, all the different cells, and they kind of
That's
form the
about the
rebellion.
same time though. That's happening right now in the show.
True. So we're
So-
at that point, which is, if you watch, it'd be cool to watch Rebels at the same time, because you'd be
Yeah.
seeing. But they're at a really tough point where they don't want to show their hand fully just yet, because if it fails, everything they worked for to this point is gone. But it's like, are we ready to fight? Should we save up a little bit? Like, they're at a really tough point, and I think we're maybe a year away in the show from the Gorman massacre.
Yeah.
And I think that's literally the spark that'll
right,
getting, like, we have to do something now.
Which is an event, obviously, that gets like mentioned in Rebels in like season 3. So
and the Gorman massacre, somebody mentioned earlier, might have been Jordan, but in my notes,
yeah,
how cruel is the new canon that there's now 2 Gorman massacres? Because in Legends,
so cruel.
Jamie and I are not scholars in Star Wars Legends whatsoever, but in Legends, the Tarkin massacre was the Gorman massacre, and Tarkin landed a ship on a bunch of Gorman people and just killed a bunch of them. And that's, as soon as I knew about that, and then we were watching this, I was like, wait, the Tarkin massacre, like they're bringing that in, and it was the same thing. Tarkin landed a ship, and then the Gormans put a memorial up, and we see Cassian talk to that bellhop.
It was super interesting to like hear this from the point of view of someone who had experienced it firsthand. And so the guy who's the bellhop at the hotel experienced the original Gorman massacre as a kid when he was like 12 years old, and his father died protecting him. How fucking traumatic, first of all. But second of all, like this guy still continues to carry on and like try to live his life on this planet even after such tragedy. And so it goes to show, at least the Gormans have this ridiculous amount of like resilience, but we don't really know what's gonna happen next. Like we know based on things we've been told and put together about the show that something additional is going to happen. We know that another huge event on Gorman is going to happen, whether it's to like another scale of the big Gorman massacre again. It's gonna be big. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we know it will be happening next set of episodes. It's just heartbreaking that like this would happen to like the same location twice within the Empire, like the beginning of the Empire with like Tarkin's business of pretty much right when it started to like almost to like the end of their like reign. So yeah,
it is wild. So Cassian meets with the leader there for the what's the movement called?
The Gorman Front.
The Gorman Front. And also, I forget the leader's name, but he was pretty great.
Rylance. Well, his last name was Rylance. I forget what his first name is.
Yeah. So Cassian meets with him, and it doesn't work out, and he's like, "Oh, some revolutionary you are," and Cassian's like, "See ya." And Luthen's very disappointed. Ryland's very disappointed, and Cassian's just in the middle of it. But
yeah, Cassian's caught being the messenger in this one. He handed over an additional like essentially like a battery or whatever, like a code crystal for the radio that they were using to contact Luthen, just to like keep updated. But other than that, it's tough for the Gorman rebels because they're like, is this even something where we like can rely on that support? Because we're here looking for that support. And it seems that it's just kind of like a ghost out there, and it's not actually people. All they've ever seen is one rebel pilot, which apparently crashed in the hills somewhere at some point.
What was up with that? Who was
I don't know. Who was it? I want to know. Who was the pilot?
It was Saw.
No.
It was Saw himself huffing some fumes.
Saw is out here literally sniffing right down. Like I can't believe it. And then so the only contact they've had is that rebel pilot, and then Luthen's voice on the radio, and then suddenly Cassian shows up at their like front door, just like, oh well, yeah, here we are. I loved every moment of Cassian being on Gorman though, because half of it was speaking in code, and then half of it was like, you guys are dumb, what are you doing? Like it was just getting like upset with these guys for being so disorganized when they literally asked them to come to help them become organized. Like I don't know why Cassian was so pissed off at them, but like he just,
it was
like,
almost like I don't watch a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot of Bar Rescue or Restaurant Impossible, where like they bring in the guy to help fix the restaurant or the bar, and then the owner or whoever's running the place yells back at them like, "Hey, like I'm here to help you. Like, are you gonna be an
Yeah,
asshole or are you gonna let me help you out?"
exactly.
So this was like Gorman Impossible or Gorman Rescue,
Gorman Impossible, but not in like a Mission Impossible sense, in like a bar
Restaurant
rescue,
Impossible.
Restaurant Impossible sense.
They
Oh
should have
my
brought in
god.
Robert Irvine. But anyways, but the same thing happens when Vel comes in later. We'll get to Vel after we
Yeah.
get to Cyril, I think. But Vel comes in later, and there's this pushback there too. And I get it. It's like it's their planet. Vel's like there as a rental, or kind of like Cassian was there to help Vel for the in that crew in season 1
Yeah.
for the Aldani heist. They're like, who's this guy? Like they just brought him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's
And
kind of the same
here we
thing.
go. Like again, a heist in the second arc of the season. Not like it means anything, but I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah, a heist of sorts, stealing the weapons, right?
Yeah,
Off
yeah,
the truck.
exactly. Yeah, it's just good, and I love how Rylands gets upset with Cassian for just like, oh, is this like something that you can do? And Cassian's just like, steal? Duh. Like, yeah, that's like one of like the number one things that
That's
I
his
can
major.
do.
Majored in
Majored in steal.
stealing.
Majored in stealing. But yeah, I love the
Caro
half of it.
Rylands.
What was his first name?
Caro.
Caro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carro.
Okay. I loved how half of it was talking in code and then everything like wasn't. And so like when he was talking in code, it was this like almost like Luthen-esque, like as like the antiques guy just being like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm gonna need like a bolt of this fabric and I'm so excited to get those samples. All right, bye. I'll take that tour later tonight. You guys better be ready. It's just like it immediately there was so much just like switching up along that. I loved every single time that happened, which was like the entire
taught
time.
him well. Luthen taught him well on we can only assume. And I something I like about when they're in character as like spies, they're almost like smoother and calmer when they're doing that than they are in like their own personal lives. Not that they really have personal lives at the moment because like they're fighting a war. But
yeah, it's like Bix literally says that very early on of she's more comfortable in the field than she is at home. Because like it's more so like you don't have the time to let your mind wander and think about things. I mean, like that's like a thing that's the big feature of like anxiety. It's just like if you sit around and don't do anything, unfortunately your mind's just going to wander and then you're going to spiral, and then suddenly it's like 6 hours later and you're sitting there like, oh my god, what happened to everything? And so in order to, especially like in the situation where like Bix has this so much trauma, like she is just trying to do something to get her mind off of it, or she's gonna like revert to the drugs, which she did do, which was interesting.
Which is all part of this Cassian arc. So yeah, the drugs. And a scene I forgot to mention earlier too was before Cassian leaves for his mission to Gorman, I think, they have their little like hands touching moment, which was like a really nice, like sensual little scene. That it worked
remarkably
well.
Yes. Yeah.
For what was going on. And we can tell that they've always been very close. And this is like their second go at a relationship, it seems, at least.
Yeah.
But I'm all for them, but we know it doesn't end well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how it finishes. We don't know how it ends at all. I mean, for
Cassian.
We do know how it ends up for him, but for all we know for Bix, maybe she's fine. And
I hope she is.
Maybe. Total aside, like as well, I loved I am not a big person in romance in like anything in any sort of form of like content usually. However,
as you read 25 fan fictions a day,
that's different. They're not all just romances, but whatever. Not the point. You actually just derailed me so hard. I don't even know what the point is. God damn it! Why?
You're not one for romances. I had to throw it in. You're not one for romances, but
I adored how much of the different romances there were in these 3 episodes alone. Like we had 3 ongoing, if not like more actually, because there was like other things like being like shown. But like Cassian and Bix, the weird one with like Dedra and Cyril, which there's a lot to unpack about that. And then Vel and Cinta. Like, oh my god, I'm just there's so much happening. and then like on the side, it's not quite romance, but like a couple in like a healthier relationship is Mon and Perrin, because there's a lot going on with them, in which it seems that in like the 1 year they have like grown up like a little bit more themselves, of just like finding their new normal, with like their daughter's gone and married, and like there's more going on like within like Mon's career. So
I have
there's a lot of
Perrin
stuff.
thoughts later on.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Well, let's get to Cyril now. We've kind of covered Cassian's arc mostly. I'm sure we'll remember things as we get more on Gorman, but
comes back to Coruscant, yells at Luthen, and Luthen's like, "You made a mistake coming here. What are you doing?" And then he puts on,
of course, there's all that, and I want to get to the romance thing. We're on Rome. You know what? Cyril can wait a few minutes. I want to talk about the romance thing now, because you just brought it up, and it kind of goes with it. So, Cassian going to Luthen's shop, and kind of, very ballsy move. And Luthen's like, "You've disappointed me twice this week, son," or whatever.
Literally.
Yeah. So Luthen shows up like half asleep with his wig on, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Which was amazing. But
half asleep with his wig on.
Cassian's like, "Hey, we're not all droids." Like, I always love when people say that, like, we're not droids. Like, I think Rex said that to Ponkrell and Umbara, or is a thing said a million times in Clone Wars. But we're not droids. Like, we're fighting this rebellion, or we're part of this rebellion. We're fighting the Empire, and we're getting ready for this. But like, we're people at the end of the day. Like, we love each other. We have to love. And it kind of goes to that Rose thing in Last Jedi, like,
save what we love.
Kind of a cheesy line, but like, hey, we're saving what we love, not just. How does what's the full quote? As I'm butchering this.
I don't remember. Just not destroying what we love and saving what
saving what we love.
I am sorry. I am so not in my brain tonight, and I do not know why.
As you say this every week.
But but I feel like it's like much worse this week, and it's rough out here.
So, I love this situation with Cassian and Luthen, because, I don't know what Luthen was trying to do with as I'm naming every character, with Bix. Like, he went there and like proposed a mission to her to get in her. Was he playing mind games a little bit, or it's kind of weird?
No, I think that he genuinely went with the intent to be like, "Hey, I have a job." Maybe like he couldn't contact her because like the light was on or whatever, but maybe she didn't see it. So he went to go check on her to give her a job, saw that she was literally abusing drugs, and was just like, probably not a good idea to send her out and do something at this point in time. And so he's like, "You know what? Never mind. I'll find another job for you, and it's no worries." And so like, after that, I think Bix takes it as, since Luthen literally came into their home and everything, and it's someone that she trusts, she's just like, "You know what? I should actually take this a bit like more seriously, and like take what I'm doing here a bit seriously." She has more time just like rotting in the apartment, but it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to get up and like do something again. And of course, Cassian coming back helps. And then
what do you think Luthen was doing though? Like,
I think he came to like be curious to see like what was actually going on like with her. Because when Luthen gives Cassian the job in the first place, Cassian is even hesitant to take the job because he doesn't really want to leave Bix alone. And so because of that, Luthen's probably curious, why does Cassian feel like Bix can't do something on her own? Like, what's going on that's like gotten like so bad?
But later on at the shop, doesn't Luthen say something like, "Hey, it's curious coming from you, not her"? He says something like, it almost, Cassian thought Luthen was playing mind games. And I think Luthen was sort of playing mind games, because he did the same thing with Vel and Cinta. He kind of like split them up because he thinks they're better separate. So
it's all part of that, like, as well, of like, Luthen went to see like Luthen wanted to see with his own eyes what was going on with Bix. That's what it was, because he didn't necessarily trust what Cassian was saying. And so he wanted to literally like get a baseline himself of just like, oh, this is what's actually like going on. And so then
I think it was more than that personally, but I mean, that was definitely part of it, probably. I think he was playing games a bit.
He literally later on admits to Cassian, "I wanted to see what would happen."
Yeah,
like he
like, I guess he did.
There like was no reason. Like, he literally was just like, "I wanted to see what would happen,"
and that was exactly it. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, he went to go see Bix because he wanted to see with his own eyes what she was dealing with, so that way he could like figure out what was going on further. And I don't know. Luthen just kind of does stuff at this point. I don't think he has a reason why. He later admits to Clea, he's like, we have so many bugs everywhere. I don't even know what we're listening to anymore. Like, what are we doing? What's happening?
We've done so much that he can't keep track. That
Clea's like, you wanted this. What do you want from me? Like,
it's probably the kind of thing of like, I didn't think I'd get this far.
Exactly.
But to what you just said though, he wanted to see what would happen. He wanted to see what would happen, and he did. Cassian came storming. I think that was the test. And Cassian failed it, but I think Cassian does get, in Luthen's eyes, I think Cassian does get through to him like, hey, we're people and we love each other. Like, we're fighting this war, but we have to do it a different way, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe that sort of changes the dynamic of things. Because later on, we see Vel and Cinta, a very powerful romantic moment. And ends very tragically. Like, and Vel, we'll get to it, but Vel, the amount of times I said we'll get to it, but Vel responds very strongly to that. But let's get to Cyril. Because I think this was the best arc in this arc with Cyril and the Gorman stuff.
Okay. You wonder why my brain isn't braining today, because we change subjects so quickly sometimes. I'm literally like, oh yeah, all that, and then I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Quick shifting of gears. Cyril's on Gorman now, and when it first showed him, I thought Dedra was going to be with him. Like, I thought he moved there because Dedra was there.
Yeah, it seems that way. It set up that way at first, but then I think that it's so much funnier that he definitely was approached to like do this like undercover job, and he was like, yeah, I'll do anything if it means like getting like credit with like the ISB. Yeah, I'll do that. Sure, I'll do it definitely. So he's out there like pretending to be like a spy, but still doing his job with the Standards Bureau and reporting back to the ISB, and like it's just this guy. He just is trying so hard for like the ISB to like him, and the ISB is just like, let's just keep this guy over there. And
he's trying so hard for Dedra to like him.
Well, yes and no, but like how deep is their relationship actually? Like, it's a serious question. Like,
that is my question.
What is their relationship?
I didn't really think of it till now, but their relationship, is it fake? Like, is Dedra just using him 100%, or is there any actual relationship there? Like, is there any actual romance, or do you think she's just totally using him?
I think that she's totally using him, but that's just me. Because yes, Cyril did like save her at the end of season 1, and so like that could be like a good basis of like, oh, okay, this was like the moment of just like, oh, you changed my life. But I really, really don't think that they have any sort of true feelings for each other. That being said, sometimes a shitty person deserves a shitty person as their counterpart. So
yeah,
like,
they have such a cringy relationship.
It's just like such a weird relationship though. But again, it's just like, well, maybe it works for the two of them, and just like leaving it at that. But yeah, I have 1 hour available. She had him like tailed, like getting back to like the apartment, and then Cyril has this like thrill, and she's like, all right, we have 1 hour, turn out the lights. What? And then it's like a solid like dark room for like 2 full seconds, and it's like, oh my god,
that was done really well, really uncomfortably well.
There have been, like I said, 3 romantic times like in these like 3 episodes of just like Vix and Cassian making out and like doing this like hand like dance, which is just so cool. Pitch black, Dedra and Cyril fade to black, and then the Vel and Cinta also making out, also implied fade to black. Like, oh my god, it's just been like, this is so good. And I don't even like romance, so
I mean,
we are.
Yeah, and you don't have to like romance to appreciate it in things. I mean,
it's just real. Yeah,
stories
just, like,
usually have to have romance in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lights out thing's funny because like, and that adds to it being a fake relationship because
she doesn't want to look at him.
If she doesn't want to look at him while they're doing things, like I don't think there's any mutual feeling there.
It's very you know what it reminds me of? This is a stretch. Bear with me. Do you remember in the original Pink Panther movie with Peter Sellers? They are in like, no, it might be the second one, I'm not sure. But they are in like the Swiss Alps, and it's Inspector Clouseau with his wife, in which she absolutely hates him. She's literally only with him to throw him off the scent because she's like a master like jewel thief. She's like a criminal mastermind.
Okay.
So there's like that happening. There's a moment in which they're in the Swiss Alps and they're in like the hotel room and the room is like pitch black and she keeps like sending him like out of the bed to like get like stuff because she can't fall asleep. So go get me a sleeping pill. Can you get me a glass of warm milk? All of this. And like it just reminds me of like that relationship of this wife who absolutely hates her husband because she's using him just to throw him off the scent of the what she's actually doing. But in this most like backwards way. And so like I don't think that like Tony Gilroy took like inspiration from like the Pink Panther and like Inspector
Well, I think
Clouseau
it's kind of a trope. It's a trope, right?
It's a trope. But yeah, if you want like a funny example of like how I feel Dedra and Cyril's relationship is, it's Inspector Clouseau and his wife in the first Pink Panther movie.
This is a good point by KG.
So yeah.
That she's just incapable of being vulnerable in front of someone. So that's a great take too. So
which is also like a possibility. Like I could totally see that.
I'm under the impression that the relationship is fake-ish. And this was a thing we were talking about, Brent, after the episodes where we came back to the Les Mis thing, and don't know anything about Les Mis. You and Matt are the experts on that. But and then we mentioned that on season 1, and then Tony Gilroy came out and said before this season and mentioned it. We were like, holy crap, we said the same thing. And I don't want to take credit because Matt said it.
Pretty much
who's
just
the character?
Javert, Inspector Javert.
Chief Inspector?
I don't remember if he's
Clouseau?
a chief inspector, but it's yeah. He ends up
how it ends for him.
He ends up committing suicide because it just becomes like too much to bear. So like I don't know if they would actually like do that, but they might.
It is
Why
Andor.
the heck not? They've
Andor.
been doing so much in Andor already, so why not at this point?
Cyril's living his best life too right now. He said he literally said this is the greatest day of my life when he reported back eventually.
I love how Cyril calls back Dedra on like the little iPads and whatnot. And he reports back his findings and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna tell Partagaz?" And she's like, "No, not yet. This is not information that we need to repeat back." And he's just like, "Are you sure?" And then she's literally just like, "Whoa there." And then he ends up having like the best day of his life after. But I love Cyril on Gorman because he is living his version of like this like spy fantasy of he has this day job and then he walks through like the plaza and whatnot and like finally like the resistance people like reach out to him by like literally giving him like spider figurines with like codes inside of them.
Those things are so funny. It's so many.
I love the little. Well, yeah, it's a funny little. I love the use of like the spiders of like buy the spider if you're like a tourist and whatnot because they're gonna just try to sell them. It's just like it's so cool. I love Gorman. And then he's purposely like dropping hints that like he's almost like anti-imperial and like you shouldn't be like listening to like the news because he knows that like the Gorman front is like listening in. He's like setting traps at his like apartment door to see if people are like breaking into his house. It's like
I've done that
he's
move.
having the time of his life.
I've done that move, not with the door, but like
with
sometimes
like
I get a bit paranoid. But I put like hair on something, and I'm like, all right, if someone touches my drink or whatever I have out on the counter, I'm gonna I'll see if the hair is moved, then I know someone touched it. It's the stupidest thing. I used to do it. I don't know, but
like, who are you worried about here? It's just me.
Not now. It was like an old school thing I would do.
Okay.
Anyways, but I'm seeing all the comments in the live chat, and it's funny that we have so many different opinions and things of what could be going on because this episode with Cyril is very confusing or these episodes, 3 episodes. Is he actually he meets up with the Gorman front because the guy kind of confides in him, right? And gives him the spider and like, hey, we have a meeting later because Cyril knows they're listening in on him.
Yeah.
So he's playing double agent. But do you think they're winning him over a bit? Like, do you think he feels for them or do you think it's all just an act? Because I know Chad mentioned when Cyril finds out what the Empire's actually doing, I don't think as Chad mentioned, I don't think he's gonna turn Dedra at all. But like, do you think Cyril will turn himself?
I think what is happening right now is I don't think he's buying into like any of it. He's just like going with the flow and just like playing like dumb along the way of just like it's the ISB. They can do whatever the hell they want to. Yes, but he's also he's excessively playing dumb because he thinks he's so smart, like being an ISB informant. It's if you're so smart, why aren't you doing this kind of thing? But I think that I don't think he's buying in at all to what the Gorman front is actually doing. He's just like along for the ride and like ready to like feed them information, but only because he thinks that it's going to be benefiting what's going on with the ISB and with the Empire in general.
Right.
I think that eventually, what might happen is Dedra will probably just like discard him and be like, yeah, we no longer need your services anymore. So our contract is closed and our relationship is over. I think that that's going to happen. And I think that that is going to break him to be like, you know what? F the Empire. I'm about to like do some other stuff. So,
I think the Gorman massacre, and I'm totally basing my opinion on trailer footage that we've seen. I think he sees the Gorman massacre and is like, holy crap. I don't know how I feel about this, but maybe he's Empire all the way. I mean, he kind of seems like it. So
he really hasn't seen like the fist, the might of the Empire yet. He really like hasn't. He does care about the ultimate justice and everything, but I really think that he hasn't seen like literally the ultimate power. Do you gotta go plug that in?
I do. I've been panicking looking for. Do we have like a charging block? I don't see.
I gave you one the other day down there, and I don't know where it is. I did. I remember giving one to you. Sorry. Just put your device in the other room for a hot second there.
Okay, and then I'll
grab it in like 10 minutes.
Going about,
yeah, I'll keep going on.
I'll somehow know what you're talking about.
You'll know what I'm talking about. Headphones are off. All right, cool. So AJ has left the room. I officially have the stream all to myself for the first time in a long time. So we're actually going to talk about the Bad Batch season 3 because the finale was last year. I'm sorry that my brain has been everywhere today, but that's just how it happens. Oops, not enough time. Sorry about that. Anyway, so the Gorman spiders and everything.
What'd I miss?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I actually didn't get anything done.
Okay.
So I don't actually remember what we were talking about before you left.
The one-person show?
It was a one-person. Hey, there's the one-person show.
Can you still hear me? Am I just like...
You can still hear me.
Am I like...
You're there. I can hear you.
In the ether?
You are somewhere. Somewhere. Anyway. Cyril? Okay, so I love how...
Let's talk about the Gorman front. Oh, no, sorry. I don't know where you're going.
We've already talked. Okay, so... He's working in the Bureau of Standards, a satellite office on Gorman. Very cool. I enjoyed that entire thing. One of the resistance people, not the resistance, but the Gorman front people are working in his office directly. And he just knows that they're always like listening in, and it's easy. I like how the ISB raids his office and he puts on this big show of I know people. I'm gonna make this right and everything, and you're all gonna like pay for this, and then comes back in and yells at his own staff of just like this is like the worst thing that's ever happened, and he's just such a show.
What do you think was going on with that? Was he putting on a show or was he actually pissed? Like it was hard to get a read on this whole arc.
Hang on, you really froze. All right, now
you still hear me?
Yes, now you're good.
Oh, but what was I saying?
And then I didn't hear anything.
Or
I think it was all a show. Yeah, because I think that he is obsessed with doing this like super spy thing, and he's like confident in his role as like supervisor of the Bureau of Standards there. But he is obsessed with also putting on the most showy of a show that something is happening. I adored the retrofuturism on Gorman. There is like there's the architecture again, so inspired. Just like it was just like so refreshing, and it just looked so cool. We also have to call out, because this happened during Cyril's business, the 2 security guards in the beginning in the lobby are literally watching pod racing.
Yeah.
Can we like talk about that?
That clicked in my mind as soon as you started talking about retrofuturism, because I thought of them watching it on the little screen. But yeah, we got pod racing, which is interesting because pod racing is outlawed by the Empire in canon. Obviously, that's just a small thing they can change. And they could be watching an illegal race. Of course, you can still have illegal races and do illegal things.
Yeah.
We see that all the time in Andor. So maybe the Empire, those Imperials are doing a little bit of betting, a little bit of online sports betting on some pod racing.
Maybe. I love how it was like the additional it was like the additional monitor.
This was Matt and I watching pod racing. Man. The sound effects are good too. It was the old straight from Phantom Menace.
It looked like it was one of the video games, honestly, but I'll have to like roll it back and like look at it again because it was perfect. But yeah, they had their second monitor up watching the pod race during all of that. Yeah.
How do we feel it? Oh, Matt, if anyone's showing up late, Matt is he's on Gorman. No, he's at Disney World.
He's at Disney
Living
World.
it up. We're hoping to get a live update from him, kind of like where's it? Kind of like this. This could be Matt updating us from Disney, but we didn't get that.
No,
not yet. At least
who knows?
He's at some sort of water show, I think, so he can't message us or live stream us.
Water show?
Yeah, I don't know. Water light show thing.
Phantasmic? Like what?
No, something else.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, Gorman. So how do we feel about Cyril? Because I like him and absolutely hate him at the same time. I imagine we all feel the same.
He's a great character. I mean, if in any sort of a great character that is like a bad person, you still want to like love and hate them at the same time. I think that he's a great character. I think in general though, he's awful. Like he's an awful guy and he's absolutely like phony to everything and himself, but he's also fully being taken advantage of. So yeah.
No, I mean I liked him a lot in this episode. I thought he was very strong with his character in this episode, but at the same time I'm like, man, I wouldn't hate it if this guy got a blaster fired.
He won't be lost. He won't be lost. Like unfortunately, like he's not gonna be lost. I think that it was hilarious that they decided to make him leave Gorman when Cassian was gonna be showing up on Gorman. Like I love how we had they're back at the McLaren Center doing the filming of like the big spaceport on Coruscant. I love how they use that facility, by the way. But like I adore that Cassian is leaving that terminal and then Cyril appears in that terminal like immediately after. Something like funny as well that I meant to mention when I said he hasn't really experienced the full might of the Empire yet is when Cyril arrives back on Coruscant, he sees like two stormtroopers walk by, which we like haven't really seen stormtroopers that much this season, aside from like, you know, last season with the Empire. Never mind, forget what I just said. We saw stormtroopers last arc. What am I saying? You didn't really see them that much these episodes though, aside from like the two guys walking by.
They stand out though, because in season 1 we didn't really see them till the end. We saw a lot of like those what we call Ferrex troopers, right? Or like kind of mud trooper looks.
Yeah.
And officers. We didn't see a lot of the classic white stormtroopers that we're seeing now. And we saw Death Troopers too in season 1, I think, with Dedra. So I hope we see more of those because that's obviously a big Rogue One thing. So they fit right into the show.
I love how much they use the variant troopers, and like we haven't seen it.
Oh, this is spot on.
That much this arc though, which is all good though. What else we got?
We talked about the Gorman front. We didn't really talk about Cyril at the Gorman front. I mean, he was there, and
So I love how he infiltrates the Gorman front, and they tell him everything and they do like the full walkthrough of what they think they want to do for their little heist. And then like 2 days later, they do it again with Cassian, and then the day after that, they do it with Vel and Cinta, and then they do the actual heist the next day. So I love how in the span of like a week, the Gorman front is just like sneaking around the streets and watching all of these like shuttles go by and whatnot, and just planning it out with a different like person each time.
I know those truck speeder things are really loud too.
Yeah, I mean that's half like the complaint of when everyone has their little like town hall of the Gorman town hall complaining about like what's going on, and they're like what's happening in that Imperial building that they've been building for the last year. Just complaining about like the truck traffic going by. They need like no whistle zones, so they need like a quiet zone.
I know, yeah. No whistle zones.
You know.
I liked how the brother was it a brother? There was the main guy in charge and there was the
Yeah.
daughter, but was that the brother as well?
I think that they were all Rylans. I think that they were all in the
Okay.
same family.
He
So
was like, "Oh, he's an Imperial spy," and then she's like, "Is that true?"
yeah.
Very playfully, and then she was like, he knew he was joking, but then played along. He was like, "Oh, no, no, no."
hmm
But yeah, I liked them. I liked the daughter. She was a cool character.
Yeah.
Definitely new to the whole rebel thing. It feels, and the guy very very fresh to the rebel thing, and he has a big mistake later on, and I feel
Yeah.
bad for him. But
I do too,
wasn't really
but
his fault.
the biggest way that you can learn that kind of a thing is when you have that much of a catastrophic mistake. And it's going to be something that he never forgets in his lifetime. So
And to go back earlier too, we mentioned like Luthen wanting to fight and like start getting out there, and
mhm.
some of the other rebels not wanting to do anything yet because maybe they're afraid they're not ready or they're gonna lose people. But like you're gonna have to. There's gonna be a lot of sacrifices made to do this anyways. And Saw says that later on, and maybe we can pivot to Saw in a moment where he's like, hey, Will, like, hey, kid, we're not even gonna see this. When a Republic comes back, we're not even gonna see it. Like we have to accept that we're gonna fight
Yeah.
this rebellion. We got to beat the Empire. We got to accept that we're probably not going to make it through it. So, and like, it's the same thing as Luthen saying, Luthen and Saw are like very similar, but also they're in the same branch of rebels, but a little bit different.
Yeah,
Whereas they're like,
that.
hey, I want to use violence. I want to get out there. Luthen maybe more secretive than Saw, but Luthen, the whole, I sacrifice myself to that a sunrise I won't see. It's been a tough night remembering quotes fully.
It's been a tough night remembering the show.
I think to go to the whole like brain not working thing, I think this show is just really hard to cover 3 episodes at a time.
Yeah, because there's a lot that happens like all at once, and it's
all amazing. It's
difficult as a breakdown.
Yeah, it is.
And we're best with having Matt as the buffer as well, so we can have our brains do like the dial-up noise while Matt just like goes on about something, and we're like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
We're both in like dial-up mode right now.
We're getting by, but
yeah.
Do we want to pivot to Saw now, or do we want to stick with Cyril and his?
I mean, we could either pivot to Saw, or we could pivot
where do you want
to
go?
the ISB, since that's kind of really directly with Cyril.
Yeah. My
so
boy
a lot.
Lonnie.
Yeah, so there's a lot that happens with the ISB in these 3 episodes, and like something that I feel like I say every single time, at least in conversations with you, and you always are like, "What do you mean talking about it? It's too funny." Like I noticed it first season is I love Partagaz as a character. Every time he's on screen, he just says something like absolutely wild, like the buffet of rebel plunder.
Buffet.
Buffet of rebel plunder. He doesn't say curb your enthusiasm, but he whatever a synonym for curb though. I
wish he did.
God, what the heck was the thing? But
he's amazing.
It's just so good. Like
he's a perfect no shits given Imperial.
Yeah,
like that's pretty much what he is.
And he just wants the results, and then like when things are actually going well for the people that he likes, like he is a huge like fan of Dedra actually succeeding and whatnot. So when like something is happening like well for her, he's just like, yeah, this is great. Calibrate. That's what it was. Calibrate your enthusiasm.
That was it. Curb your enthusiasm.
What? I knew it was essentially the same expression that way, but like, calibrate your enthusiasm. That is like, I cannot calibrate my enthusiasm, because that was like my favorite like line possibly in the show so far. And he had my favorite line like last week as well. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere.
Yeah, that was great.
But it's
and then the whole like
silly.
You know what he's like? You know what he is? I know MI6. I don't know how depending on how you look up. And James Bond, like MI6, the good guys. He almost reminds me of like an M. He basically is an M.
He is. He is literally running the security bureau. Like
I wouldn't be surprised if you watch the old Bond movies, we probably have a lot of like the old Bond movies. I'm talking pre Judi Dench M. He reminds me of like the older M's. That's why I like him so much. I think I said to you that he reminds me of like the Top Gear guys, but he reminds me more so.
A bit of a stretch.
It's more so M, old school, like
I'd say
60s,
old school
70s M.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love that.
But bad M.
Additionally, with the ISB, we get more going on with Lonnie. We get more going on with the other officers as well. The one who used to be Dedra's assistant, who's now a supervisor, who replaced the guy who was the previous supervisor.
She's pissed about
for that system. Yeah, which is just super interesting. And then also we have more time with Legret, which is also a guy who got a little bit of time last year, but now we're getting, these are like the 3 guys who are also just like higher on the thing.
Yeah.
But Lonnie goes out of his way to literally help his peers, which is something you don't do as an Imperial. And so it's weird, but at the same time, he gained a lot of points with Partagas for doing that in the first place, but also with the other supervisors for actually assisting along the way. And it turns out they end up working together like a bit more closely. And then like we have them all at the party later on, which is also just like super fun. But yeah.
Yeah, the party was great.
Lonnie is so funny. I love him as a character. He kind of is like an absolute like doofus, but he also pulls it off at the same time. And he puts so much on the line this week in these episodes just because he stuck his neck up for the other guys. I read that comment at first as the ISB is just 3 dudes, and I'm like, you know what? It like is. It's just 3 dudes. But yeah, Lonnie goes out of his way to support the other guys in the ISB, but he's also going out of his way to be the main informant for Luthen of what's going on within the ISB. And I love how this season has been he's reporting more frequently to Luthen. And so initially he wasn't sending reports as quickly. And then Luthen started ramping up his own activities. And he's like, you need to be informing me more about what's going on. So Lonnie's just like, shit, now I need to actually do that. So yeah, pretty much. So I love how we have like 2 scenes. Well, we have one scene with Lonnie and Luthen, and then the second one of just Lonnie. But the first scene of Lonnie in the elevator, and the elevator literally comes like crashing down so hard Lonnie can't even get his like gun like out of like the holster, and he's like almost like about to like pass out in the elevator, and then it's just like Luthen just like waiting for him. Like I loved that visual.
Why does he even pull out his blaster?
Well, I mean, like the elevator is like crashing down in a dramatic affair, so he probably thought he was getting like ambushed. He probably thought he was getting ambushed more than like it was breaking. Yeah. But that's when one of my other favorite lines in like this like stretch of episodes, because he informs Luthen that Dedra is suing the Gorman front, and they don't, or not the Gorman front, but supervising Gorman, and they don't know why. Luthen literally says, why Dedra Miro? She's a hunter, not a spin doctor.
Yeah. Spin doctor is a heck of a, I love that.
What? I also just love how like Rebel Luthen is like this grizzly. He's like super gravelly, more so than everything else. It's just like not a care in the world. Voice. It is his Batman voice.
He's almost like he's like spiraling in this part too. He's like he's confused because he's like, wait, what? We gotta move now. What are we doing? What's going on? What do they want on Gorman? Well, he says, I need an end game.
Yeah, give me the end game.
Give me the end game.
He's really spiraling this one, and so he's like demanding like more from like Lonnie in that moment, and just get me as much information as possible as frequently as you can. And so later on, as everything progresses like within the ISB, and Partagas like flags down the guys and tells them to calibrate their enthusiasm. Lonnie literally says to the other guy, all right, you take point, go read that documentation. I have to go do something. And he like hauls ass away because he's going to tell Luthen that like Gorst is coming back and all of this is happening. Like he needs to tell him immediately. So I like how we had like the setup of Luthen at least saying, hey, you got to tell me things immediately, like as they happen. And then we don't get to see it the second time, but we see Lonnie at least going like, all right. Just like running off to actually go and like do that.
Yeah, with Dr. Gorst.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that at the end. But yeah.
Anyway,
that's the ISB stuff, business. It was great. Getting a check-in on the ISB or the Imperial meetings is always a hoot because there's a lot going on, a lot of secret stuff. They're all very dramatic. So it was it's always great to check up on them.
And it's interesting as well because the ISB and in a backwards way, the Senate, they kind of have the same problem of the ISB is arresting almost too many people, and they don't have like the resources to deal with them. And the Senate is also like, we have like Mon Mothma doing her business with the PORD, trying to get votes to stop that at the same time. And so we have all of that going on.
We get the nice transition of them talking about we're taking in too many people. And then that takes us back thinking about Narkina, where they're kind of just like spawning criminals, like they're making people up on the spot. And then Mon Mothma's talking to different people about that in a great scene with the music coming on and off.
I love that, of just like the silence and then having the full conversations and then the music walking to like the next senator. It's so good.
That was very well done. But that kind of made me think, like, how do you happen to think that some of the people that escaped from Narkina 5 like got out and were reporting like what was going on in there? Because they all found out that they weren't running the prisons properly, really. Like they weren't releasing people eventually. They were they weren't like they weren't doing whatever. I just noticed a charging block right next to me, so I missed that.
I told you there was one down there.
Yeah, it's literally right there. But yeah, a prison is made to, and prison's a very complicated thing, but it's made to, it's like a correctional facility, you know, to help people, and things like that. But these ones were just like, hey, we'll release you. Oh, you're going to a different floor. We're not telling you. Like they were very being run wrong. Do you think the people that escaped Narkina 5 kind of are like spreading those truths to what's going on out there? Like how does
some of them? I would say some of them are, but I would say a lot of them are probably just like, whatever, I'm done. You guys could all just go like F off. Like I don't care. I'm just gonna like do my own thing the rest of the time. But I feel like some of them, if they were feeling ridiculously righteous, they would have been like, guess what? The worst thing happened to me, and I'm gonna tell you about it. So I mean, yeah, it might be happening, but I don't think that that's like the news that's getting out about about the. That's not like what Mon Mothma was trying to do. She's just trying to, at this point, just like get more people on her side in general. And I think that in an unfortunate way, she's just losing support just because there's so many new senators coming in that are just like in it for the fame, in it for the wealth, in it for just like the notoriety. They're not in it to actually like help the people. And like the Senate,
that's like real life.
The Senate has fully evolved into the Imperial Senate of just like, these senators don't exist to help you. They are just there. They are doing their own thing.
Just like real life, they unfortunately side with what will keep them in power.
Exactly.
So.
And like that's what Mon and Perrin are talking about when they're flying along from like another party, because Perrin like plans out the social calendar all the time, and he's like, when you were like an early senator, like we weren't going to like this many parties because like you weren't having a party like this from your first term. But there was like 70 plus brand new senators that were having like a original like first year in the Senate party. And it's just like, what are like, we can't like get all of this in like that quickly. And yeah. And so it's interesting like seeing like that evolve, and Mon's just like, well, you'll figure it out. But Perrin's just like, I don't know if I will. I will try my best.
Perrin has been really good this season. And if you were listening or watching last week, I said that like Tony Gilroy at Celebration talked about how he noticed people weren't liking Perrin because he came off as a huge ass in season 1. I mean, he just did. And I almost wonder if Tony Gilroy didn't mean for him to come off like that. And he kind of has, tweaked him a bit and changed him a bit for season 2. Because this season so far, he's been almost a different character, much different character in my mind. He's a little more relatable, and he's a little more, I don't want to say nicer with Mon. He seems more pleasant. He seems more down to earth. He seems more agreeable with Mon Mothma. Even at the party, he totally has her back against Krennic. Later on, but
I mean, I think
he's been interesting.
I think that was like always like built into his character. I think though, as it's evolved, is the stakes are much higher, and I think that he knows that there's much more going on and much more at stake at this point in time.
And in season 1,
yeah,
he seemed like excited to party with the Imperials or like the Imperial allies.
Right. Right.
And then in this season, they're walking to the party, and he's like, "I don't even want to be here." Like, "Oh, hey, Bale, like, did you leave poor Brea up there alone?" Like as if he doesn't want to be there either. Like,
because I think he's starting to see through like the cracks and see through the opulence finally, which is good. He's waking up a little bit.
Yeah.
But
So it's interesting to where he's gonna go, because we know what happens in Mon Mothma. I have this thing set up in my mind. I don't even know if I've mentioned this, but I'm hoping like Perrin sacrifices himself to save Mon. Like that'd be really powerful. Like to end that arc.
Right. I mean,
I can't imagine what else would happen if he's not with her, or not that they're like really in love or anything. But
no, but like
maybe he just goes about his business.
In the kind of a situation, well, he would be persecuted. Like if she is literally wanted by the Empire, like they're gonna go after her family and everything as well. So that's also gonna be something that comes into play that we're definitely going to have to see, because Mon is one of the main characters of this show. Yeah. And we know that she escapes to the rebellion. And like it's never something that's like shown of her family being in the rebellion, but that doesn't mean that they're gone. But who knows what's actually going to happen like with them.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah, it is. So Saw Gerrera?
Almost. Let's finish up with because we talked just like a little bit about Mon Mothma and Luthen, and we're finally almost at that party. So let's just wrap it up with the party.
With the party,
then,
okay.
Then we can finish with Saw.
The party was great. We got Bail.
So the party, Bail Organa. Which I'm fine with the recasting. I think that it's great. I would rather that they recast over doing some sort of digital nonsense. Like all the time. And like I understand that Jimmy Smits was tied up in a TV contract, and so that's literally the only reason they did it. And I believe that they also filmed majority in Spain, and so he couldn't be in like New York and Spain at the same time because it just doesn't work. The one restriction of doing the practical sets is you got to physically be there. But that being said, I am a big fan of it, and I like how Bail was literally just in the one scene of just like a, hey, what's up? You guys dealing with this? And I think that was just enough of a, hey, remember this guy? He's gonna come back. He's gonna be really important as it goes forward.
Yeah. Tony Gilroy, I think, said he has like a big scene next week.
Right. And so like I like how so far that's what I said so far.
Okay.
Right?
I thought you meant like just in the show. It was just gonna be a small taste of Bail. But
why would I? No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said so far, like these episodes of he showed up, and it was more like to the audience, like, hey, remember this guy? He's gonna come back up. He's gonna be in the rest of the show, because he is important for everything else.
No, Benjamin Bratt. I believe that's the actor's name. Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah.
I hate to say like he nailed it so far, because it was literally like five lines of dialogue, but like I don't know, it worked for me. I love Jimmy Smits. Jimmy Smits is forever Bail. It's not like they didn't ask Jimmy Smits on, then that would be kind of insulting, and like, why are you just recasting him? You could easily just use him, but like it couldn't work out. They had to do something. You have to have Bail in this show. Benjamin Bratt is doing great so far. Like I loved his little mannerisms. He played it just like Jimmy Smits would. His
Can't
like
wait to see more.
His eye rolls, the eyebrow movement, like the facial expressions. It was great.
It looks great. So I can't wait to see like where he goes like further with it. And it's just a damn shame it couldn't be Jimmy, but I'm excited to actually have him in the show regardless though.
Yeah.
But that was just like the first portion of the party, because in addition to Mon Mothma attending this, because it's done by the Skaldans, and so it is a party at the Skaldan residence on Coruscant. And one of the other big things was Luthen and Clea have been putting listening devices on pretty much all of their artifacts to listen in on their rich clients, which is like another just like wild card from them. Not only are they just like doing all of this like under the cover of darkness of just like, oh, we're gonna get all these like artifacts, but also do all these rebel things, we're also gonna listen in to every single person. So Clea discovers something happening at the Skaldan residence of there's another artifact that is not real, and everything's going to get reappraised, and therefore the device is going to be found. So luckily there's a party that they can go and deal with this listening device. Imagine like if there wasn't a party, like what on earth would they have like had to like done? Like,
They
oh,
would have sent like Cassian or someone in as like some sort of worker or something. Hey, can you get this bug back? Or I don't know. They would send or Clea in as a
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
But
It worked out though. I mean, so we have Luthen
Clea
and
is
Clea.
also
I
Clea
love her.
is I love her in season 1, but she didn't do much. But like, she's awesome. She's an awesome little like, if yeah, I don't know. She's an awesome little like, just side spy character, like the
Yeah.
like the techie one. She's the techie
Yeah, she
spy
is.
character.
She really is. I mean, like I love her switchboard of like everything that's going on with the listening devices. I absolutely adore the beginning of the second episode of just like the logo popping up of the sound of the switchboard. Like I have re-listened to that like at least like 20 times over of just like the differences, like tuning into the different bugs that they have planted around the galaxy, and then like other things going on at the same time. It's so perfectly in universe. I'm just obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But I love Clea though. I've always loved her like as like a character, and I'm so glad she's actually getting more going on. She has one of the most dreadful hairstyles I've ever seen in my life.
It's okay.
Which kills
I've
me.
seen worse. It's okay.
It's bad though. If you, I would love to make her costume, but I'm not gonna.
Oh, you mean like bad to do? I thought you meant like ugly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's
a bit of both.
It's fine.
I don't really like it that much. It's a classic. It's just rough. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can't do that with hair. Like, I'm writing that costume off immediately. But that's just me.
I loved her in Lonnie.
Yes.
Like she just grabs Lonnie and is like, hey,
she's like, hey,
tall glass of water.
You remember that one time you came in for something for your wife? And of course, like Lonnie knows who she really is, and he's like crapping his pants over the situation, and she's just roll with it. You got to do this one thing for me. I love also the fact that they're at the party along with, I forget the other supervisor's name, and then Legrette shows up as well, and the other one asks, oh, is your special friend here? So Krennic is Legrette's special friend. What does
that mean?
Sure. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean, special friend? Okay, sure. Why not? But Krennic is at the party, and Krennic is having the time of his life. Like this guy is literally having like the best time of his life.
Him and Mon get into like a Thanksgiving dinner political argument, essentially.
Yeah, and everyone is just like showing off like their who has like more information and whatnot, who's smarter, and everyone in the crowd is just doing like the looking back and forth, like
they're having the diva off, as I saw on Twitter.
It is that exactly what it is. And Krennic doesn't miss a single thing, because like when Clea and Lonnie come in to look at the artifact that has the listening device on it so she can take it out, she instructs him obviously to like block the view and whatnot, but she also gives him the background about the artifact, and also pretty much like threatens him to listen because he's going to be quizzed on it later, because Luthen and Clea like already did like the backstory of for anyone who asks why you're in the room, this is the reason why. And so like there's like a very like subtle moment you can see Krennic look over to Clea and Lonnie, and then he pretty much turns immediately to Luthen and is just like, what's going on over there? And so like they don't show that happening, but it's very briefly of Krennic looking and then looking at Luthen immediately and making his way over and asking, because he's like, what's going on there? There's something happening. And then it just, that's exactly what happens. And luckily,
there's a lot of looking.
Luckily, Lonnie remembers about the artifact and manages to pull it off, because otherwise he's just like sweating bullets, just like trying to like keep it under control. Clea is literally like losing blood over trying to get this like stupid listening device out of this machine.
I liked this comment by Light Blinded Fool earlier of, I want to find the rebel who crossed the threads on installing that device. That thing was in there. I don't know.
God, seriously.
What a wild way of just, I don't know, watching her do it. The blood coming down her hand.
Yeah, it was nice.
I didn't think of it till now, but like, how did she not drip any blood on the floor?
I don't know. I mean, she must have probably like slid her like cape under or something, but like I was thinking about that actually, of just like, how was there no blood droplets on the floor? Because that was a lot. would have been like a big cut too. Anyway, device secured. What a funny little artifact as well of a map / like book.
You read
Because
by touching around
read
the
by
thing,
touch, yeah. And it was funny when we were watching it for the first time because you told me that you thought that was part of how they were opening it because they were like tracing the patterns like on the top of it, and I'm like, no, like,
well, they were it was their cover story. It was their front for trying to get the thing out. But like,
right,
they kept the way it was edited or shot, like they kept zooming in on the middle, and I was like, wait, is the thing in the middle? Like I was kind of confused on what was going on. There's a lot of things going on in these episodes where I'm like, what was that? Because it's a very
yeah,
sophisticated show, and there's a lot of like deep things, complex things. So
yeah.
sometimes some stuff goes over my head, but Space Braille essentially was the thing, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Which is cool.
It was great.
And we get the line of the episode. We should have killed Krennic while we were up there.
Yeah, and then that's the spirit, and then they just walk out.
See, and that's where
mission accomplished.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me overthinking it, but I think they're laughing and they're like, they're genuine smiles because we always see Luthen doing that with the fake smile, and he's very good at it at the acting. But I think they're for real smiling and laughing. We never seen Clea smile ever.
Right.
I don't think.
Right. We haven't.
So they're actually like, phew, like that was something.
That was actually.
I wonder if Cassian had gotten through to Luthen a little bit, like, hey, like let's lighten up, Francis. Like,
I mean, I don't think it would have gotten into his head that quickly within like the same day, because like, mind you, this was literally the same day. But I think that it was like a good enough little thing. But the way that it's said of just like, man, we should have killed Krennic, like the way that Clea laughs, it like seemed real. It almost seems like it was a line that Stellan Skarsgård just happened to say, and like everyone was just like, whatever, let's just keep it in. Like it almost seemed like it wasn't real, but it was great, and I'm glad that they kept it in, whether it was scripted or not. So,
what do we think of? How do we think Clea and Luthen like know each other? Like, how did they get their little cell here started? They have a very father-daughter relationship, as does like Luthen and Vel a little bit. So like, I don't know.
I think that if anything, maybe they both actually have like the history of being historians and being archaeologists for these things. First of all, that's not fake, and so I think that they may have like had like that connection in the past. Whether it was she did like an internship or something in the past, and she just started working for him, and it kind of just turned into seeing the oppression across the galaxy, and you trust someone so much, it's just like, you know what, we should do something about this. Yeah, let's do something about this. And then she just like, starts putting together like the switchboard and everything, and they just start going for it. That's how I think it happened. Is it they just had like that relationship from the past of they saw the oppression happening, and let's at least try to keep an eye on things. Because we have the luxury of doing it from this little shop. Because they do. They both come from like a place of privilege. They both live on Coruscant. They're both well off. They are in a location where they see so many rich people that they don't even bat an eye at them. So I think that's
Luthen's shop.
What it comes to.
Luthen's shop is probably a real shop he's had this whole time because he has a reputation. And this isn't
exactly
too long after. I guess it's probably what at this point. 17 18 years after like Order 66, we'll call it. I hope I have that. My Star Wars time math is never the best.
Yeah, I think it's been about that long in the first place.
So I don't know. I mean, Luthen's probably always had this shop. He's always probably had that, and now it's just his front for whatever for his rebel cell. But
so
that's a great point. That's a really good point.
I mean, like historians always are able to predict the trends based on what's like happened in the past and just based on how things are going. And so I think that's exactly it. Is like
it always goes around,
it's something that he saw coming in the past, and through some sort of connections of whatever Clea did in order to also like learn this, whether through apprenticeship, through school, or whatever, she also just kind of like fell into it, and he trusts her. So it just bubbled up from there.
I said to you that if they made a novel about how they like got their origins, I would absolutely read that, like some sort of spy novel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't really think it would be a spy novel. Yeah, it might be more like Indiana Jones type thing than spy, which would still be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But not quite. Because they're selling the artifacts, they're not museuming them.
Or is it Saw time?
Sure, it could be Saw time,
Finally.
I guess. We'll wait until the very end.
So we cut to Dakar, which is one of Jamie and I's favorite sequel trilogy planets. Place gets absolutely glassed in The Last Jedi. Yep. But some of it does. The base does, at least, by the dreadnought, the first order dreadnought. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. Dakar, it's cool to see Dakar used in this timeline.
Yeah.
Saw and his partisans are using it for a little base. And we see Willman from the Ferrix crew. That was he got off safe last week with Cassian and Bix.
He's
and
on a job for Luthen to work with Saw.
Yeah, as like a technician, as a tech guy for them. So
yeah, for a device which is created with the intent to steal Rhydonium.
Yeah, like basically a pump, some sort of pump.
Yeah.
Willman. I mean, I think you had even forgotten a little bit, but in season 1, he builds the bomb, or whatever that we see on Ferrix, because his dad was kind of some sort of tech. His dad was the guy that ran the radio thing for Bix.
Yeah, his dad.
He had that shop.
His dad was like
he dies.
a prime tinkerer and like fixer and like mechanic and everything. He was one of the best. But yeah, I'm glad that you like mentioned that, because it was something that I completely forgot that happened last season, that Will was the one to actually build the bomb. And so he's got this background of working with highly volatile mechanics. So why not? Let's send him to Saw Gerrera to steal some Rhydonia. But that like wasn't the intention. The intention was just for Will to teach someone else how to use the device, and then go back home and send him on his way. Although Saw is like casually talking to like 2 tubes, just like, we can't cut this guy loose. Like, there's no way. Like we have to kill him.
Yeah, and there's the whole. In the meantime, they're weeding out a mole within their ranks, and it ends up being the guy that Willman's trying to teach. So they give him the false information. He leaks it to the Empire, and then they go, "Oh, it leaked, so it came from you, buddy," and they kill him right in front of Will.
The best way to deal with a rat is just to like plant the false information, or to do like a different job and see where it leaks. It's a classic. I mean, why not?
In when we first see them on the base and we first see Will working on the thing, I love the shot of like Saw and the crew coming down the hallway.
Yes,
there's something so menacing about them, and like they're not like the other rebels, and we already know that.
They're all scary looking. Like they're all like really scary looking.
They're extreme. I mean, they're I guess we'd call Saw an extremist, right? Like he's on the extreme side of the rebellion, which we know. He wants to kill the poor Geonosian in Rebels. Oh God, I feel bad for Click. I've always feel so. And so the other thing I wanted to mention was Jamie and I historically don't like Saw Gerrera. Good character, but he annoys us to no end. I
agree. He is a good character as well, but historically, never.
We loved him in this episode. He was literally awesome.
He does one scene in these episodes. Literally one scene. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, you know what? I get it. Like, I understand why people actually like this character as much as they do. You've had 2
of those in the past month.
I get it. Hayden Christensen being hot and Saw Gerrera being a good character. What? I get it now. But like a big reason why like I don't necessarily like Saw Gerrera is I never really thought like he was cool in Rogue One, but I never like got any further than that, and I wasn't really interested. And then he just kept like appearing in everything, and I was just like, what is this? And then we had the situation in the Bad Batch, and I'm like, wow, well, let's not.
It kills Tech.
Exactly. I'm still really salty about that one. Exactly. So I'm not saying I like the guy, but I'm saying that I like him a little bit more. And I think that these episodes was Forrest Whitaker in like his prime Saw Gerrera. Like it was every single scene with him, I was like entranced. Like
you're here right now, you're ready to fight. I love that. That's like it rings in my head every day now.
It's so wild because like Saw himself is such a charismatic leader, and you can tell everyone who follows him because of who he is. Also, if they try to defect, I'm pretty sure you can just like kill him anyway. But I felt like I was like ready to like join up with his like crew, just like based on like how he was talking and everything. And so it was just such like it was every single scene, even though he had like the shortest arc out of everyone. It was Will's arc, but it was also the Saw Gerrera arc. It was just like some of the best stuff. And I love how they have tacked Will onto the Saw Gerrera crew at this point in time.
It works.
Because he is now almost too far gone. Because they do the heist, which is like literally everyone hanging out, guarding everywhere, and we get Wet Moroff. Like
we've been dying to talk about Wet Moroff.
Talk about Wet Moroff.
Moroff is a classic.
Like, yeah.
Big old abominable snowman, essentially is what he is.
Yeah.
Two tubes, yep.
Yeah, we got both tubes.
Tubes.
Yeah. Both of the tubes. But everybody's like just like standing guard, and the heist is literally just Will and Saw, and Will is doing the hyper focused of the machine and making sure it goes through correctly, and just like listening to Saw literally monologue behind him in like the wildest of ways. Like,
yeah, he talked about how he was in a prisoner camp on Andor.
Yeah,
that was heavy. He's all over the place with this monologue. Yeah,
talking about like the gas on Andor and everything, and then suddenly starts talking about just like breathing it in, and he literally gets through to Will so hard after like Will successfully breaks into the pipes and everything, and they don't explode. He gets so far into his brain, Will accepts suddenly becoming crazy and sniffing the Rhydonium fumes with Saw Gerrera. Like, he has literally drank the Kool-Aid. Like, there is no coming back from this. Like, Will is just a Saw Gerrera partisan now.
That's favorite meme. The meme game was strong by all you people out really there after this past episode, this past arc. But the best meme I saw, I can't give credit because I don't know who it was. I forget, but I screen capped it somewhere. And it was Luthen telling Bix not to take the sleeping drugs. They're bad for her. And then the other side of the spectrum, Saw, huff all the fumes, my boy. Like,
literally.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this episode was don't do drugs because it's gonna screw you up, and then just like, you know what, actually do the drugs because you might be better off. Like, it's wild. But yeah, like I can only imagine like how awful that must feel afterwards. Like, I'm just thinking of just like getting a headache from accidentally like inhaling like spray paint. So like Rhydonium, like come on. Anyway,
my favorite part in his whole monologue too was when he mentions the Rhydonium is his sister. Because like that was an odd line, going back to Clone Wars.
It's weird. It's like he's like comforted by it, if anything, because it reminds him of Andor. It reminds him of Stila, but also at the same time, Saw is completely nuts. Like, he's gone. So
a big step up from sniffing Sharpies. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He called the fumes his sister, so that was pretty wild. But then that's all we got of Saw. I mean, it wasn't much, but it wasn't much. It was nice. It was a lot. It was very rich. It was very good.
He was just the first 2 episodes, and that was it, which was good because then the last one really focuses on the main plot with everybody else. The last thing is, well, there's a couple last things. We didn't really talk too much about Vel and Cinta yet, so we'll do a little bit about them.
Yeah.
They get to reunite, first of all. Well, they reunite. And the other big thing with it is they both were saying to Luthen that they wouldn't do the job if the other person wasn't available. So they're pretty much saying that we're like a package deal like with this. And they do have their moment of like reconciliation, and they're stronger together. And so, of course, if someone has that much set up, one of them's going to get ripped away. And I'm a bit gutted that it ended the way that it did. It was so stupid too. But like,
that's how those things go sometimes. I mean, but to lead off with the Vel and Cinta thing, like Cassian's out of there. So then Luthen is like, all right, we'll bring it in the hammer.
Literally, like
Cinta.
Cassian was too soft, so we have to bring in the hardest weapons that he has, which is Vel and Cinta. Yeah. But yeah, they have their full plan with the heist on Gorman, and it's literally just like their way or nothing else. And well, it worked out, but yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it. I just wanted to like mention it again because I feel like we didn't actually talk about it.
Much to say about it. I mean, they pull off the heist. Cyril's there with his binoculars, reporting back to Dedra, live tweeting it back to Dedra, and
shots fired. There's been one shot.
He's having the time of his life playing, hall monitor there. But
he really was.
No, it's always the stupidest of things. So you get that stupid other Gorman front guy that just storms in with his sleeves rolled up and like, hey, I'm here. It looks like Wario. The old lady needed help, so it takes away the other guard they had up there. And then that poor guy is left by himself. He doesn't want to pull the trigger on like one of his own.
But then, he shouldn't have had the gun in the first place, which was like the number one thing that they said no one else brings guns except the two of us because they're the only ones with the actual experience. And it's just frustrating because like, well, yeah.
The heist was awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
the guy looked like Wario. The heist was awesome because I loved one of the best shots in the whole show so far was the camera going down the stairs with the box of weapons. It was edited in the middle, I imagine, but it was a oneer essentially of it going down the stairs and then them throwing it into the truck. That was awesome. And then we get Cinta doing one final badass move, like somersaulting down the truck, putting the charges down, and then taking that thing out. But Cinta dies. Cinta bites the big one, and then Vel handles it so well. Like it's a very powerful moment. But
yeah, she really does handle it well for as much as they meant to each other. Like she has her moments of when it happens. She freezes up completely. But it was enough of everyone else around her followed the plan so well and knew what to do in case of an emergency. They were like, we need to get out of here. Like, we will take care of you. And like, she manages to like allow them to like take her. And then Wario himself like picks up Cinta to like bring her to the truck and everything at least. And like Vel handled it as well as she could have, probably like with the most decorum you'd ever see for like literally losing your love. Like in the truck, she's just like half like catatonic staring at her, but notices that the other guy is crying, and she delivers another impeccable Andor monologue again. Whoa, so good of how like she was everything and more and will haunt this guy's dreams for the rest of his waking life, so don't you dare cry. All of it was just so good. And Vel really has grown into a leader as well. Like she's had her ups and downs as well, like in like literally in the off season because she hasn't been doing as many jobs. But it's weird because Cassian and Bix, like almost at least Bix, needed the support of Cassian in order to keep going to like find herself, although she did end up having like some really good vengeance at the end of this episode. But for Vel, what she needed was to know that Cinta had her back again. And it's heartbreaking because she gets that closure. She gets that, okay, cool, we're a unit again, and then gets it ripped away immediately. But I still think somehow Vel is going to come through stronger. I think she's going to be much more bitter in her life, but she's going to come through stronger because of it.
For sure. I agree.
And she's not going to waste it in the slightest. Like it's just heartbreaking that it happened. And literally it like they have the beautiful moment on screen and then it's just,
hey, as soon as those things happen in a show like this, it's like, they got their there's no happy endings in this show.
We had a happy moment.
And it was great they had that moment. It was a great moment. It sucks it had to go the way it went, but it's it's wild that it's so. Vel's a great character. She's been a great character in the whole show, and Cinta has been a bit of a more minor character for sure. Like not many lines, kind of been on like much more of a side character. But it's so it shows how powerful this show is that was such a sad scene. Because obviously it's the romance of both of them, and Belle's a main character, but yeah, it's
for Sensei,
it's
it was
wild.
always her actions speak so much louder than what she's actually saying.
Yeah,
and it always
that's very
has,
true.
like, and it was to the end as well. And I'm really sad to see her go. So
yeah.
yeah.
But that kind of brings us to the grand finale of the arc,
Mhm.
which was awesome. It was
Yeah.
we see Dr. Gorse walking the streets with
Dr.
his like piece of
Gorse.
cake.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, yeah, we know he's coming to Coruscant. We heard that earlier from Lonnie.
Yeah, because
And
they were setting up a division, and the ISB wanted to keep an eye on them directly, because part of Gas is like, these guys are bozos. Like, he pretty
yeah,
much says that almost exactly.
and he goes up to his lab or whatever on whatever the heck he's doing. Door opens up, and then all of a sudden we see Bix with the blaster pointed at him, and it's just pure revenge from there. Which
Yeah. And it's perfect. Like, it's just enough of a Gorse kind of remembers like the situation, probably doesn't remember
yeah,
her name, but is
no,
enough to be like, oh
definitely
my god, this was a person that I tortured in the past. And she deals with him, and it's so good. And I hope that Bix walks away from this actually getting the strength and not having more trauma for literally inflicting that again on someone else. But I think that she will walk away stronger, because she makes it out of there, and makes it out of there completely, and then Cassian blows up the building.
I think she should have taken his cake too. Taken the cake.
That would have been too much. That would have been too much.
Eating it right in front of him.
That would have been too much.
But it's interesting because that was such a good scene, and I was so happy for Bix to have that closure or revenge. And it brings me to an interesting point of does revenge isn't usually a theme for the good guys in Star Wars at all. It's not really like a good thing. But I guess that's more of a Jedi thing than a like rebellion thing, because we're in the rebellion and it's war and it's like anything goes. But in Star Wars, revenge is usually a bad lesson. But it felt good here. So
it seems less like revenge and more so like just closure for her, because in Bix's situation, she was as haunted as it can be, and she had the luxury of, she is this like awesome like rebel like secret agent, in which like they would get information when something is going to happen, like a person's going to be on worlds, and they can deal with it. And it was the perfect storm of a time to do it as well, because this was happening during the party in which the entire ISB was like evacuated. Well, we don't know where like that office was, but there most likely wasn't going to be anyone there aside from that, so it was like low risk.
One guard, one officer.
One officer in the lobby, and Gorst himself. So like, yeah, exactly. He did really good.
So last week we got like the sad ending with the Niamos music with Brasso dead on the ground. So it was like, how do I feel? We kind of get that this week, because Cinta dies. You get the Vel monologue, and then you get Bix getting her revenge and then Cassian walking away. Very badass with the explosion in the background. Great shot from the trailer. So this show really does make you feel like every emotion throughout the arc. And once again, the 3 episodes at a time just makes for an event of a night. And like I said earlier, I'm going to be pretty sad when the show's over, because it's like, it's so good every week, and it's going to be so good every week. And what a ride.
It's been, and we're halfway through, and I can't believe we're already halfway through. Oh, man, I don't want to be over.
I need to grab my phone to see my final notes and who I chose for my characters, even though I do remember it, but I want to make sure.
So we're going to do character of the week and Glup Shido of the week, because I think we covered almost everything, and thank you for bearing with us for actually getting everything getting around. And man, where's my brain tonight, guys? It is like everywhere, but actually in my head. So we'll also highlight Matt's character of the week and Glup of the week as well. I think AJ has it written down. Did you have any other notes about anything else on the show this week?
Let's take a quick look. We talked about the massacre. We talked about the Tarkin massacre. We talked about Lonnie. We talked about the Partisans, Valencinta. I think that was pretty much most of my notes. There's probably something I didn't get to that someone might mention, but my other first note that we didn't really get to was just in general the contrast. Like we love Skeleton Crew so much, but think of like the contrast of like that with Andor. It's like,
how are these shows in the same world?
No, that's what I mean, and I mean that in a positive way. I'm not like I'm not saying I'm not using one against the other. I'm just kind of comparing them, and I'm like, it's amazing that we can get both of these in the same galaxy of stories.
I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it's been something that's come up in interviews with Tony Gilroy directly, where he's like, yeah, these shows like can coexist in the same place. Like, he said it, like Dave Filoni has said it, and be like, that's like one of like the best parts of Star Wars, especially like modern Star Wars like this, is like there's a lot of different vibes along the way, and they are still like it's the same overarching story. But you're always gonna find like the things that actually like make sense like for you and can relate to more. And I love that. And it's great.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I saw Chad mention Bad Batch.
I was joking around earlier about that. I was like, oh, let me talk about the Bad Batch. But like there's so much delay with like the chat afterwards. I can't get that far.
Bad Batch is like the perfect in between of this show and Skeleton Crew.
Somehow,
like you have like the serious stuff going on with like the the experiments and the Imperial secrecy and all that, but I don't know. Anyways, that was one of my notes I didn't get to, but I love the buffet of Star Wars shows that we have.
Yeah.
That party guest would say. So let's get to our characters of the week, and we have Matt's mail-in vote that we can.
All right, let's do Matt's first then. So Glup Shadow of the week. So favorite.
We're starting with Glups.
Yeah, we can start with Glups. Okay. Favorite minor. What do we usually start with?
We usually start with character of the week, but it makes more sense to start with Glup because you save the big thing for the end. Yeah.
Glup.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Oath Keeper.
Oh my God! Literally,
I guess we will now.
It's the Halo Elder Council. Can we talk about how the alien like looked like that guy?
The prophet.
Like, he looked like the prophet. Like what is going on? Hang on. Look at this guy. Come on. Is this guy not from Halo? I don't get it.
I'm not one to like say something doesn't look good. I mean, I'll tell it like how it is, but this guy, I didn't think he looked like a Halo 2 remastered cutscene, which those cutscenes look great, but he looked a little too CG for me. But he looked like a prophet from Halo.
He did. Like I'm pretty sure I like turned to you like during that scene, and I was like, "Is this from Halo?" Like I like genuinely thought it was.
This guy was wild. And I love Mon Mothma's like
she's like the white knuckle grip on her like podium.
Like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here.
I can't do this. This is too much.
So yeah, the Oath Keeper, that's a good choice. What was Matt's? I got Matt's here for you. Matt chose 2. Oh yeah, Matt did the 2 hosts of this, which we didn't really talk about. Mafia and Toffee.
Yeah, of like the Good Morning Coruscant show. This was something that I can't believe we didn't actually mention yet ourselves. But I adored this. Like, I love anything that is like an in-universe thing, and I love how Bix is just like rotting away watching shitty talk shows in the middle of the day.
Daytime TV. Yeah.
And I love how this talk show specifically is them just gabbing about this party that's going to be happening later that night of just like the upper elites at like the Skuldens. And so it's just so funny to like see it, and then you actually see the party later. But Mafia and Toffee, it's just like it's so silly. I love them so much to pieces already, and I love to get more like the media within Star Wars. I love to see that. So I'm glad Matt picked it.
For Jamie and I'm pretty sure we chose the same person, but we both went with the one and the only Bon.
Look at this guy.
Who was this guy?
Who was this guy? He didn't have a single line. He literally is just like, I like to believe, though, that is his voice on the recording of just like what Cassian's instructions were, but we don't know. I'm not sure if that actually is. Sure. Look at him. Look at this guy. Bon. Like, I'd like to think he's like an Umbaran, but like I don't know.
No,
that would be fun. So. But it's the eyes. Like, think of it of how they did it in Skeleton Crew with the one bounty hunter on Pocket.
Ace Bowie.
It's like the same. He does look like that. But I loved Bon because like it was just whatever this what was the name of like the the shop that they were in.
Nick and Bonds or whatever.
The travel agency. And so like I just thought he was just like the funniest character, and I loved him so much.
Bond.
But yeah, Bond. I
love that we get like a close up of him too. He's not like if he's a background guy. That we see him like right there.
His only moment is literally Bond walks in through a beaded curtain and just like stares. That's it.
Nikki
this
Bond.
guy just is there. Yeah, the other person was Nikki. Too funny. But yeah, we both did Bond as our glup.
Someone better have that costume ready to go at Celebration 27, and it's gonna be me.
It's gonna be you. All right, let's do it.
No, we'll see.
Oh my god.
So MVPs of the week.
Yes.
So I made an amendment, or I guess I made an executive decision that since we're only doing 4 weeks of this show, we're gonna do 2. We're each gonna have 2 picks of characters of the week that we can add to the tally.
Okay.
Because by the end of the thing, we'd each only have 4 picks for the whole season.
Yeah.
So. And there's so many episodes. We could theoretically have 1 for every episode, but let's just do 2 per arc from each of us.
So do we want to retroactively do the last one as well? Or leave that one as is?
No, because I didn't ask Matt about. Yeah, we'll leave that as is.
Okay. So,
MVP. Should I give Matt's first?
Yeah, sure. Give Matt's first.
So Matt chose Stoned Saw Gerrera and Clea.
Okay. I wish we had like the Matt reaction about Saw Gerrera huffing the fumes, because like that would have just been fantastic.
Oh, I know. This was such a hard week to choose characters of the week too. So I'm glad we're doing 2, because just picking 1, there was like 5 people I had in the running. But do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go. For me, MVP of the week this week, I'm going to pick Vel and Clea.
Totally didn't come up with these just now.
No, well, I wasn't sure about the second one. I wasn't sure who I wanted to say first. Vel was always 100% for me, but I was like, I want to pick Clea or Luthen, but I'll pick Clea. So Vel and Clea, because yeah.
If Matt was here, he chose his, but he didn't keep up with his tradition of choosing the character who dies.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Vel and Clea is a really, really good choice, I would say.
Yeah, because Clea finally came into her own, and it's the kind of thing I feel like season 1, a lot of people didn't even remember like who she was. And so like this season, it's more of okay, it's clear she's an established character and a bigger part of this than we think. And she's the whole reason that they even had to go to this party at all.
I'm hoping we get more and more of her. Like I want to see more of her in the field, and we'll see.
Yeah. Exactly. And then this was the week that like Vel had her come back, and she gets the really cool monologue this time. So good to see her back in proper form, even though she's like devastated, but like still it's great.
So I also chose Clea. So yeah, a Clea sweep. And this one was tough, but I went with Bix.
Yeah. Okay.
Because she got her revenge. She got her, hopefully the ending to her nightmares and whatever's going on with her, and she can be stronger here going forward. She's gotten so strong to this point. I did hate seeing her suffer through having to take the drugs for sleeping and just all that. It was tough to see. I'm glad they didn't go like too far with it. Like I know we said before the stream, I think we talked about that, but they did like just enough to kind of see it. But I think just for that ending alone, I gave that to Bix. My other choice would have been Cyril, just because he was so good in this episode, in this arc. He's in this episode, but this week he was so good.
Yeah, he was.
But I hate him, and I like Bix, and I liked her ending, so I give it to Bix.
I wouldn't really want to pick him as a favorite either, but I
not
agree.
A favorite. It's standout characters. Yeah,
he was a standout character in his own way. You know, playing spy
absolutely.
and whatnot.
He definitely was.
I forgot to mention early on when he gives his mom the spider in the apartment. Yeah, the spider, and she's like creeping along with it. Like, I'm gonna name him Cyril. I love that so much. And I love the first time he calls her on the phone. When it cuts to her, she's literally sitting in like a hair salon type, like the heater like over her head. She's like perming her hair at home. Yeah. I'm just like this woman. Like it's just.
I hate her too.
I hate her so much, but she's a good character in her own way. But yeah, that was man, episodes 4 through 6, we made it to the end.
Yeah.
Somehow, we made it to the end. We'll be back next week with more coverage of Andor season 2. Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight in the chat. And, we'll be back next week with episodes 7 through
hopefully
9.
with Matt.
Yeah, Matt should be back by then. It'll be great. It's a busy week. But yeah, stay tuned on social media. We're Hauling Up Marauders everywhere. Thank you to everybody tonight for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time on the Hauling Up Marauders podcast. Good night, everybody.